Hello, everyone. Are you having a good time? It's a great pleasure to be here today. Let me ask you, how many of you like to be called a dreamer? It's usually not a compliment. My name is Glenn Noble, and all my life I've been called a dreamer. And you know what? I'm okay with it. First off, I'm standing here today because I'm a dreamer. Secondly, I'd much rather be called a dreamer than to live without pursuing a dream. And finally, when I'm successful, then maybe I'll be called a visionary. And that's really cool. As you can see, I'm also a bit of an optimist. Perhaps you're familiar with the words of Mike Ditka. He's the famous coach and player of the Chicago Bears football team. Now, sorry, I'm talking American football here. You know, that's the one that we don't play with our feet, but instead play with our hands. But his words are, if you think you can, you might. If you think you can't, you're right. These are great words. Our beliefs give us the courage to follow our dreams and allow the impossible to become possible. If you think you can, you might. No guarantees, but it's possible. But if you think you can't, you're right. Guaranteed fail. Game over before you even start. Today, I'm here talking about following your heart. X marks the spot, and it begins right here in your heart. A big challenge in each person's life is finding the spot on their heart marked with an X. For there, they'll find their dreams and their passions. For me, it's Kosovo. Un adua Kosovan. This is my country. These are my people. This is my place in the world. Now, of course, you've already heard that I'm an American, and probably my name or accent would have already told you that anyway. But if you could see my heart, you'd see Kosovo marked with a huge X. I'm from the state of Idaho in the United States. When I was a teenager, I began to dream about starting a technology company. Now, considering how cool and fashionable I was, I know that it's really hard to believe that I was into technology. For many years, my dream was set aside, and I worked as an engineer for other companies instead of starting my own. It was always the safe and smart thing to do. I first came to Kosovo in 2003, expecting an interesting adventure, certainly not expecting to fall in love with Kosovo. Some say that love is blind, but true love is able to be entered into with eyes wide open because it's powerful enough to overcome obstacles. From the very beginning, I loved Kosovo. But from the very beginning, I also realized that Kosovo has many problems and challenges. And the economy is at the heart of every problem. Kosovo needs companies and jobs. With good companies, good jobs, and a little time, I believe we can fix every other problem. At the end of 2005, I returned to America and resumed a seemingly normal life. But everything felt different than before. America was the same. The people I'd left behind there were the same. But I had changed. The 2.5 years experience in Kosovo had brought my lifelong dream into a new dimension. Now I wasn't interested just in starting a technology company, but rather a technology industry, and in Kosovo of all places. Why? Because now I cared about the future of my friends in Kosovo, and because Kosovo is young and full of potential, and because I couldn't stand to see this potential go to waste. We have the opportunity to create a much brighter future for Kosovo, and I'm happy to be one of the building blocks, even if only a small one. Over the next couple of years, I thought about Kosovo and what it would take to start a technology company here. I determined that one critical need is engineering skills training. Technology companies need skilled engineers. However, university education in Kosovo focuses on theory. with little practical experience, and of course it's very difficult to get a job and learn on the job. As a result, there's a lack of capable engineers to start new companies or staff existing companies. My dream slowly became a goal: to return to Kosovo to start a center for engineering skills training and technology business incubation. And that is what Genesis does today. The idea was simple in concept: take young engineers who have already learned theory and then give them the practical skills to design and build products that can compete in the worldwide markets. Then, after engineers are ready, they'd be combined with business people to start new technology companies. Though I had a dream and a goal, I didn't really have much of anything else. No real plan, few resources, and no obvious way to move from where I was to where I wanted to be. Just got my bow. I didn't have any idea of how to start, so I did what I could. I took the first small steps, like we all must. I wrote a plan for Genesis Technology Center. There we go, there's Genesis. I wrote a plan for Genesis Technology Center, and I started to buy used equipment anytime I could. Now, sure, it would have been great to have all new equipment instead of things I was buying from eBay, but we all have to start somewhere. Each time a box arrived, I'd open the box, I'd look inside, and then I'd put it away in storage. Since I had no space, I couldn't see the technology center take shape physically, but in my mind, the pieces were all falling into place. And I could clearly visualize the completed center. This was a challenging time for me because I really wanted everything to go much more quickly, but instead it was just small step after small step forward. Some used equipment and a plan. And in the end, the plan was probably of little value because nothing goes according to plan, especially in the beginning. But I don't know, I guess allowing small deviations from the plan to block the continuity of the project is a sign of non-determination and weakness, and we are not weak. I don't blame anyone if they thought I was a little crazy for dreaming of launching a technology industry in Kosovo. After all, it wasn't exactly the next logical step in life, but dreams seldom are. I remember one time as I was walking around, I was completely overwhelmed by the task ahead of me. I suddenly realized that maybe it was impossible. Now, I realize I probably should have thought of that a long time before that, but okay. Thankfully, I got over this crisis of doubt very quickly because I do not believe that I could do what I'm doing today if I had even the smallest amount of doubt. I began to think that maybe it would be possible if I could find others in Kosovo to help me. It's my dream, but my dream has room for others in it. And in fact, my dream can only be fully realized when it becomes our dream. In May of 2010, I found the courage to load everything for the Technology Center and most of my personal belongings into a shipping container and send them to this side of the world, SEO. After all, what could possibly go wrong? By the way, I should point out I did not send my daughter in the shipping container. I arrived in Pristina with my family, with enough money to survive for several months, and with a burning passion to succeed. I wish I could say that everything was easy after that, but in fact, it's been very difficult. Of course, doing the impossible often is. Our primary challenge is that the Technology Center has no external support. So we have to pay for all operating costs out of program fees. And many people who are interested in participating have no money. The Technology Center is great, and it fills a need. However, by itself, it does not create a technology industry. Companies and jobs are needed. In the spring of 2011, a local businessman with a software company found me. His company was working on a project for elevators. So only those who pay for service can use the elevator. He asked if it was possible to design a circuit board for this application. So I helped them a little, and we in the end, accidentally launched a company. It was not my plan at this time to start a company, but it was evident that it was the thing to do. It's always important to have a plan, but it's equally important to be willing to change the plan to reflect new opportunities and realities. Together, we formed a technology company called TEDxAUK to manufacture industrial electronics. Quite simply, we build the electronic circuits that give machines intelligence. Our company is Kosovo-based, and all functions take place in Kosovo, from product design to manufacturing, programming, and sales. Naturally, we faced significant obstacles. We were starting a technology manufacturing company. However, we had no engineers, no products to manufacture, no manufacturing equipment, no customers, and no money. So basically, we had nothing. We began by training 17 people full-time for 5 months, giving us a great team of engineers. Though they're still gaining experience, they're intelligent, enthusiastic, and hardworking. There we go. Our engineering team has turned out to be our strongest competitive advantage. One thing that makes us unique is that about 60% of our company is female. We hope to be a great example for other companies to encourage equal opportunity for all. After initial training of our team, we began working on smaller projects aimed at the local markets to give ourselves time to gain experience before addressing international markets. In 2012, after presenting at Balkan Venture Forum, which is a venture capital pitching competition, we were able to find an investor who purchased shares in TEDxAUK. He's perfect for us because he also is an engineer who started and grew his own international electronics company, so he brings not only investment capital, but also knowledge and advice. Our company is still new and quite small. We have only 22 employees. However, I have rather large plans for it, and I believe that it can be very successful and will be a model for other technology companies in Kosovo. Together, Genesis Technology Center and TEDxAUK, though they're both small, make my platform for launching a technology industry in Kosovo, and I believe that we can have a huge impact. My personal goals are to double Kosovo's exports and to make Kosovo a net exporter of technology. Now, these are audacious goals, considering that I'm just one pretty average person. But while I might just be a pretty average guy, I do have the boldness to follow my dreams, and I have the passion to either succeed or die trying. You see, I believe that one of my key roles in Kosovo is showing what is possible, opening people's eyes to possibilities. Our biggest limitation that we face is ourselves. Our doubts are our source of failure. Every day, if you were around me, you'd know this, every day the most common phrases that I say are shkamabo and skitchkaban. But in fact, these phrases have no place in our vocabulary because there's always something to do. And we can always do so much more than we think we can. One of the most difficult tasks in realizing our goals is actually finding a goal. Many of us struggle in finding what it is we even want to work towards and embracing a dream. So for those of you who already have a passion, who have a dream or a goal in your mind, you already have a huge advantage compared with those who are not sure what they're interested in. You should know that even having an idea alone is a giant leap forward and has already given you a head start in the game. Because how can you possibly aim if you don't have a target? So today, let's take this slogan of X marks the spot. Let's make it you mark the spot. Because believe it or not, everything related to doing what you want to do, achieving your goals, begins with you. It begins with you convincing you that you will achieve your goal. And how do we do this? Well, the main reason why we don't chase our goals is because we constantly look at setbacks. Fear is always internal. It comes only from internal factors, not external factors. If we were to consider everything that could possibly go wrong, we wouldn't even be able to leave our houses in the morning. So go ahead and think of all of your setbacks and all of your limitations, but as you do, think of how you're going to eliminate them. Take a pen and paper, or maybe a screen and a keyboard, and write down everything you think that you need to make your plan become reality. Write down every fear you have, write down every obstacle that you foresee, and then for each one, think of how you might make that into a strategy. Write down every step and every detail that you think might be important. Visualizing your plan will organize your thoughts and will make planning much easier. Success and failure are not predictable. But the only way you can truly fail is if you don't try at all, in which case you'll always wonder, what could have happened? It's amazing what you can do when you find where X marks the spot, when you set your mind to it, and then when you mark the spot. Thank you.